Hello, I just wanted to do another poetry analysis with you, just setting up some poetic devices and review figurative language as you're analyzing a poem, some things you'll be looking for as you're reading. I found a poem that I really liked the message and the theme of it's titled We Are Seven. And um, I have a copy on the assignment. So you'll either need to save that to your computer and open it and annotate it as we work through it, or maybe print it. I printed a copy and did my annotation first. And then, so if that's how you want to do it along with me, like we would do in class, you should either have it printed or you should open it on your um, computer. Okay? So we're going to analyze this together. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to read it. I need to find my document. Okay, so this is the narrative poem, We Are Seven by William Wordsworth. Remember, we're starting with narrative poetry, and narrative poetry tells a story. It's going to have a beginning, middle, and end. It's going to have conflict. It's going to have dialogue. It's going to have characters. And it's going to have other poetic elements. So you're going to see a lot of these poetic elements and narrative elements in this short poem. So the first thing I want you to listen for as I'm reading it is the end rhyme. We'll be labeling the end rhyme, and I want you to kind of listen for it. Also listen for the use of alliteration. Remember, alliteration is where the consonant sounds repeat, not necessarily the first letters, but the sounds. I love alliteration. It sounds good. And so you're going to be listening for that. You're also going to listen for imagery. What are you seeing as the man is telling the story and the girl are telling the story? Okay, so what are you seeing as they're describing? Okay, so let me read it and then we will analyze it together. A simple child that lightly draws its breath and feels its life in every limb, what should it know of death? I met a little cottage girl. She was 8 years old, she said. Her hair was thick with many a curl that clustered round her head. She had a rustic woodland air, and she was wildly clad. Her eyes were fair and very fair. Her beauty made me glad. Sisters and brothers, little maid, how many may you be? How many? 7 in all, she said, and wondering looked at me. And where are they, I pray you tell? She answered, 7 are we, and 2 of us at Conway dwell, and 2 are gone to sea. 2 of us in the churchyard lie, my sister and my brother, and in the churchyard cottage I dwell near them with my mother. You say that 2 at Conway dwell, and 2 are gone to sea, yet ye are 7, I pray you tell, sweet maid, how this may be. Then did the little maid reply, 7 boys and girls are we, 2 of us in the churchyard lie, beneath the churchyard tree. You run about, my little maid, your limbs they are alive. If 2 were in the churchyard laid, then ye are only 5. Their graves are green, they may be seen, the little maid replied. 12 steps or more from my mother's door, and they are by my side, and they are side by side. My stockings there I often knit, my kerchief there I hem, and there upon the ground I sit and sing a song to them. And often after sunset, sir, when it is light and fair, I take my little porringer and eat my supper there. The first that died was Sister Jane, in bed she moaning lay, till God released her of her pain, and then she went away. So in the churchyard she was laid, and when the grass was dry, together round her grave we played, my brother John and I. And when the ground was white with snow, and I could run and slide, my brother John was forced to go, and he lies by her side. How many are you then, said I, if they 2 are in heaven? Quick was the little maid's reply, oh, master, we are 7. But they are dead, those 2 are dead, their spirits are in heaven. 'Twas throwing words away, for still the little maid would have her will, and said, nay, we are 7. I love this theme here and this message that William Wordsworth is giving us. He's obviously a believer if he is alluding to God releasing her of her pain and being in heaven, right? And so, what a wonderful story of a little girl, a simple little girl who has two of her siblings who've passed away, but she loves them so much and she cares for them so much, and they're still part of her life, that she can enjoy her life knowing where they are and still near her. Just a great, great message from this short poem. So let's look at some of the parts of this poem and analyze it together. The first thing, let's look at the end rhyme. So most of this poem has regular meter, regular end rhyme. There's only two of the stanzas that the end rhyme changes. So we'll look at these. So when we read end rhyme, we label the end rhyme using letters A, B, C, D, E. Okay, so each stanza changes. So you can tell that this group of lines, these 4 lines, is called a stanza. There are 17 stanzas in all, and the only one that changes is the last one. It is 5 lines instead of 4. And I was reading a little bit of analysis on this poem, and it said that actually the writer, William Wordsworth, wrote the last line first and then decided to write the story. So that's kind of cool. All right, so let's look at a few things here. So let's look. Child is the first word, so we're looking at the end rhyme. Child doesn't rhyme with anything else. We're gonna label this A. Breath is a new word, and so that would be labeled B. Limb, again, is new, a new sound, doesn't rhyme with anything else, so that's labeled C. And then death rhymes with breath, and so we would label that B, okay? So we would say this first stanza's end rhyme label is A, B, C, B, all right? Then it goes to a regular pattern. Girl is the first word, so that would be labeled as A. And then said is the second end word, so we would label that B. And then curl rhymes with girl, so that would be A. And then head, again, rhymes with said, so that would be B again. So pretty much the entire poem, if you look air, clad, fair, glad, made, be, said, me, pretty much the whole poem is A, B, A, B. That's the end rhyme. There are just a couple of change. Here is an example. Seen would be A, and then replied would be B, and then door doesn't rhyme with anything else, so again, that's C, and then side rhymes with replied, so that would be B. So we have A, B, C, B, so a little bit different. But pretty much the entire rest of the poem follows the A, B pattern. Jane, lay, pain, away. Laid, dry, played, I. Okay, so A, B, A, B. So most of this is a regular end rhyme, A, B, A, B. Okay, let's look at a couple of other things. What point of view is this poem told in? First person, right? This, we assume it's a man because the young girl calls him master. Uses first person I and me all throughout, right? I and me, right? So we know that is first person point of view. Good, okay. Let's see, who else is our main character? Little girl, right? So the little cottage girl is our other main character, again, looking for those narrative elements. So he sees this little girl and feels like she's lively, and what would she know about death? Well, that's a pretty loaded question, right? Because she obviously does, even in her young age. How old is she? She's 8, right? So lots of details here given about the character. Then they get to talking. Again, there's dialogue. Dialogue is a narrative element as well. So you have dialogue, and he's asking her about her siblings. And she says that there's 7 of them, right? So there's 7 siblings. And this, of course, is where we're getting the title from, right? We're 7. So there's 7 of them. She says that 2 are away at Conway, 2 are out to sea, 2 are dead and buried in the churchyard, and then she is left with her mother, right? So there's 7 children total. That's a big family. I have four sisters. There's 5 girls. Big family, right? So 7 boys and girls are we. So she is talking to him about how they have passed away, and she's talking about their graves, and she has some imagery here, and the imagery is also alliteration. Did you hear the alliteration when I read it? So graves are green. That's alliteration. You have more, my mother's door. So my mother's door. Lots of alliteration here. So she's describing to us the green grave, and then down here again, the was white with snow, which is again describing what it looks like the other grave, right? When the ground was white with snow. Her other brother died. Again, alliteration. We have a great alliteration. I love this one, sunset sir. I love alliteration using the sound. It sounds good. What is a porringer? That's a word that I had to look up. I wasn't sure what that was. I don't know if anybody knew what it was when I read it. You can guess that maybe it has something to do with eating, right? It's a bowl. It's a small bowl with a handle on the side. A lot of times you eat soup or chili with a porringer. So that's that vivid word there that I wasn't sure what that meant, so I had to look it up. And then I love how he is painting this picture of faith, right? Having faith when your loved ones have gone, and he says, till God released her of her pain, and then that the children are in heaven. So that's a great reminder of our faith as well. You know, we as Christians know that when our loved ones die, if they have believed and have faith in Jesus Christ, that they go to heaven, and we can see them again. And she obviously had that faith. If she could go on living and sing to them and know and have a happy life, even with her siblings that have passed away. So that was a great message. The last thing I want to talk about is there's an idiom here. He uses this idiom, "'twas throwing words away." This just kind of means that it's just wasted. He couldn't convince her, he couldn't change her mind that even if her 2 siblings were dead, there's still 7 of them. And so that was an idiom there. I think that's about all that I wanted to bring up with you as we start really analyzing and picking apart a poem. Again, the first thing that you would do is read it out loud, and then you would go stanza by stanza looking for specific things. So hopefully you enjoyed it as much as I did. Now read through it again and then take the quiz.